I'm sure you've learned about each other along the way as well. Is there anything major that maybe surprised you guys along the way? I mean, I guess for Lulu and Zelda, you're probably gonna have a different perspective because it sounds like most of your lives have been a learning process that pretty much what you were raised on set. But was there anything in particular that you guys that kind of stood out from you that you're like maybe even question your own sanity for doing a movie together as a family, or things you learned about each other? I'd love to hear about that.
I always thought it was fun just seeing who could play like a psychopath best, or who could be a totally different character. But I think nothing else ever felt, at least for me, like too big of a dramatic of a discovery, just because we all started, even though Zelda and I were 6 and 11, we all were
Yeah,
babies to film in a way. And so we all
sure.
kind of figured it out little by little because we still were figuring out how our style was, what kind of shots each of us suggests. At least
Yeah,
for me, it was a lot of just getting our flow and being okay, we do these shots, this person's idea, this person's idea, this person's idea, or we might have a script and then right then be like, that doesn't work for me. How does this sound to you guys? And kind of spitball what we think our characters would say. I think that was the biggest just learning curve of just seeing each other's different types of creativity and what each suggests.
Yeah, I don't think, I
very
mean,
cool.
one thing is, I mean, we don't really fight much. One of the nice things about filming together is that we're just four of us, so we can shoot anybody's opinion, like, and then go home and look at it on the editing bay. Like, it's not, there's no like crazy pressure on set from outside sources. It's just our movie. So anything that needs to get discovered in the storyline or things that might pressure other industry filmmakers, that's not really applicable to us because we're just a family making a movie. So I don't think that stress like kind of affects us as much. Um, you know.
Yeah, I'll just add too that there is something actually really convenient about being in the same house with the people you're making art with, because you have the luxury of every moment you're together is potentially an office meeting. So we always like to say we're slinging idea spaghetti while we're actually at a table eating spaghetti for dinner.
Idea
Every drive
spaghetti, I love
every drive in the
Bloody.
car, we're slinging these spaghetti ideas and just to see what sticks. And there's something very
it.
convenient being able to do that with the people you wake up next to, or are having meals with, or walking the dog with. uh, and it's fun. And then you have all these incredible shared experiences of the full figure feature, and the memories you've made making them. And uh, and and you also have each other's back. Like when we don't know when someone's not good at something, someone else probably is. If we are having a hard time, we support each other. It's kind of a beautiful lesson in togetherness and collaboration.
Also, another thing, that one surprise that I would say that I saw was the like intelligence of a child's viewpoint as both the kids were growing up, their viewpoint on how to do a shot or what should be said. Their worldview was so smart, and sometimes as a grown-up you would think, oh, it's a 6-year old's opinion, so what? And very quickly you realize like how incredible a 6-year old or a 11-year old's opinion is, and how like unadulterated or
Adulterated.
yeah, it's unaffected, so it's very
Right.
pure. And that was something that was really cool, was realizing like when you got home and looked at their ideas on the editing bay, you were like, oh my god, it's so smart. Like I would never have thought of that.
It's also funny because 6 and 11-year-olds are really honest. They're been pretty brutal.
Oh
So
yes.
we used to call each other the BS monitors.
Very
Perfect.
true.
Well, I've got a couple tiny BS monitors as well, and I 100% understand where you're coming from. If yeah, they have no qualms about telling you something sucks or something looks terrible or what have you, and it's said with so much, unfiltered purity that you're like, I should probably look at things their way for just a moment here and weigh it out. So Can you think of give me any examples? I mean, it's probably maybe too many to really pinpoint. And I know you guys have been through so much. I'm sure every movie is almost like remembering a whole different life chapter that it might be difficult to kind of pinpoint those examples because I'm sure you kind of that's done, you're moving on. But can you give any examples at all of maybe some of those child perspectives that changed, that was a pivotal moment for you in any of the films you've made?
Well, I do know that I think we used to have very static shots, and and Zelda began working as a co-DP, and one of the things she wanted to bring in was movement. And I come from theater, so I kind of loved the idea of almost a shot like a proscenium theater.
Yep.
And Zelda's like, man, we need some movement in here. And actually, with Hellbender, we did get some fun toys like a drone and a gimbal, the Ronin to kind of move around with. And that was something that I think naturally Lulu and Zelda, from like watching music videos and cool stuff, they had a different sense of what would be cool, and they've definitely contributed that to our films, and I think our films have contributed from their contributions.
Definitely.
I think also just like the language between Amber and me, I think we kind of made it as natural as possible, kind of like how someone like actually our age would talk. Because in the writing process, it can be, you write one thing, but then you're actually like on set saying it, and it's like, wait, this isn't very natural. Like, this isn't how I'd actually say it. So, right, Lulu? Like, we kind of talked like how we would to each other.
Totally. Yeah.
Cool. And that definitely came across as well. I mean, certainly without giving too much away, the scene where you meet Lulu in the film, and that there's like a sense of awkwardness that was there, and a sense of curiosity and intrigue. It's almost like you guys were sort of, I don't know, on opposite sides of a museum looking at each other, like you're each, the other's curio. And I thought that came across brilliantly, and I had to remind myself, wait, they're actually sisters, but they're pulling this off so convincingly well that are they maybe, I don't know, sisters have been segregated their whole lives, and this is the first time they've actually met. Like, that was the impression they got. Like, it was pulled off so naturally. And even you, John, when you were kind of there too, and meeting, Toby for the first time as the, unknowing stranger. And I mean, it was so great. I mean, that shot where you turn around and, bam, it's like you just saw her for the first time, that up and close and personal. And it was fantastic. I was at that, from essentially for that moment on, I was 100% sold. I was in.
Yeah, two things about your observation is they were segregated because of COVID, the two of them. So there was, we were separated from Lulu in all scenes. And so even when Zelda comes over and moves the chair over, it wasn't like, hey, Zelda, in this scene, you're going to come in and move the chair over. It was just Zelda being like, that's way too close for me. and she moved it, and it was just like perfect. And as in my character, one of the fun things about my character in this movie was I got to actually play a nice person. And generally I'm the psycho in the movies. And so it was really fun to kind of be the nice guy, and then I get dispatched immediately.
Say, look where that got you, eh? So much for being a nice guy.
Right, exactly.
So if anybody wants to see you playing a nice guy, this is going to be their only opportunity.
This is it. You get 5 minutes of it. That's all I got. Back to a psycho.